Here we go. Yes, people, how you doing? Welcome back to multi-streaming via Spurs Talk Show, Football Inc. and on Twitter. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things that you love. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. It's 10:40. We're slightly behind schedule, as always. But we hope you're doing happy and healthy doing the things that you love. We're here to discuss Tottenham against Liverpool, the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. Last night we saw Newcastle decimate Arsenal 4-0 on aggregate, an absolute whitewash. Arsenal fans rightly despondent, Newcastle fans rightly over the moon. Can Tottenham join them in the final? We're here to discuss it, of course, with none other than part of the furniture around these here parts, Jonny H2232 from Twitter, from Spurs Talk Show, and of course from Football Inc. Before we get into Jonny, before we get over to Jonny.
Are we streaming this on Football Inc. as well, are we, Shawnee?
We're streaming it on all of the different channels that we've set up over the last couple of months. But guys, get over to Football Inc. and smash the subscribe if you're watching this via Spurs Talk Show. Get over to both of the channels if you're watching this via Twitter, and hit the like button if you enjoy this sort of content that Jonny and I try to put together for you on these here Thursday morning frosty days. Jonny, massive night tonight, mate. Before we get back into that, how you doing, buddy? How are you?
Oh, man, buzzing off the last night, huh? Eh?
Unbelievable.
I'll tell you what, in fairness, though, to Mikel Arteta, I did notice the ball wasn't as round as it should have been. And it moved around a bit. Oh, it was magical when at the end when he was almost crying. He got all emotional. But, you know, they've had a heavy schedule. The players are very tired. Listen, mate, you've had 5 years. Okay, 5 years at the helm. You spent hundreds of millions of pounds. You've had the backing of the board, unlike others. And, you can't have any excuses. And how Declan Rice was still on that football pitch last night. First of all, the elbow on Tonali, and then that tackle near the end of Guimaraes. And he never even got booked.
Excellent.
He was confronting everyone.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Arsenal should be celebrating this morning, because as I said with you guys last night, I think I'm pretty sure that red cards carry over from the Carabao Cup. I'm pretty sure that happened earlier on this season. So, yeah, Arsenal should have been and could have been, and well, obviously not going to be without Declan Rice for a few games for either of those challenges. I think the second one, the late one, at minimum yellow card, but you could argue that it was just bitter and angry and frustrated, and it was a dangerous challenge. So they got away with one there, but they didn't get away with any domestic cup glory this year once again, Jonny. They're out of the FA Cup after being beaten on penalties by United in the third round, and they're out against Newcastle, so no Carabao Cup either. I mean, I've got to be honest, I know you told me not to tempt fate, but I can't really see them getting back into the league sort of situation with positive outcomes for them, which probably leaves just the Champions League, and that's a tough competition. That's the toughest competition to win. So are we thinking another empty season in the Arsenal success annals?
Well, look, they always look best coming from behind, and hopefully they'll stay there. Listen, look, I'm not going to tempt fate with Liverpool, because you never know what will happen if they lost Salah or what have you. But now Arsenal have got nothing. Now they've got one game a week now, more or less, up until March. Middle of March, and then so they can focus on those two competitions. But I'd love it if they come up short. Nothing will give me greater pleasure. But listen, big up to Newcastle last night, who were absolutely fantastic in both legs, but especially so. And a big up to that Newcastle crowd. It just shows you how much of a difference the crowd getting behind the team really does make. I'd love to be able to recreate that noise that they had last night at Newcastle, and what we'll probably hear tonight when I set off. I'll be setting off in about an hour or so, hour and a bit, for Liverpool tonight. The long haul journey. But I can't wait.
What time will you be home at?
3, half 2, 3, if I'm lucky. With a bit of luck.
Well, hopefully the bus will be rowdy and rocking, not just on the way there, but on the way back. And if it is, then this is the sort of thing that I like to always commemorate with.
When you start hearing people like that say things like that, that gives me a fucking hard on.
Unbelievable.
I wish he was a Tottenham fan. The amount of sound bites and clips that man brings out is absolutely sensational. Jonny, what's your thoughts, mate, on the game? Obviously, we're going to part the Newcastle-Arsenal recap and move into Tottenham-Liverpool. A massive night for both managers, for both teams. Ange Postecoglou, look, the league form leaves a lot to be desired. Some people call these excuses, other people call them explanations. The injury crisis has been absolutely horrendous at Tottenham. Not so for Liverpool. They've been remarkably fit and healthy for most of the season. I think they go in tonight. We'll get the teams up in a minute, but they go in relatively full strength. Tottenham, we're not quite sure yet what we're looking like. I think Mickey van der Ven is out. But obviously for Arne Slot, first attempt at a trophy win in his first crack, will be a wonderful way for him to just get the sort of blow the dust away, I guess, and start his career at Liverpool with flying colours. But for Tottenham, massive. What is it now? 18 years without a trophy, 17 years without a trophy. Best chance for a long time, but Liverpool's not exactly the most delectable of second leg venues to go and visit for a semi-final.
No, I mean, listen, look, it's been 14 years since we won at Anfield. Van der Vaart goal, Modric, Sandro, Yunus Kabul, Danny Rose, Crouchy. Yeah, just trying to think off the top of my head. I can't think who else. But
Robbie Keane still there at the time?
I can't remember who else was there now.
Dimitar Berbatov, he was earlier, wasn't
Dawson. It would be Dawson. Trying to think who else now was there. Dawson.
Walker?
No, I don't think Walker was there.
Trippier then?
No, not then. Aaron Lennon. Anyone else remember any others? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But listen, that was 2011. I just remember that Van der Vaart volley into the corner in the league. Bentley. Oh, okay.
Crouchy. Pienaar.
Yeah. Sorry, Crouch. Sorry, should have got that one. Stephen Pienaar. Really? Wow. Okay.
Surendra's here saying, Sean, Tell put the Carabao matchday post on his story. He might start. I mean, that's something to get excited
he is
about.
Starting. 100% he's starting. There is no doubt that this kid's starting. And there's no doubt that Danso will start either. None at all. 100% he's starting. And I, as I said before, I reckon the back line will be Archie Gray on the right, Danso, Davis, and Jed Spence on the left to negate Mohamed Salah. That's what I'm going for.
I got no worries about Jed Spence against. I think he's one of the most incredibly balanced fullbacks, and I think he is going to solve a massive headache and a fortuitous one for Ange Postecoglou, because he didn't look. Dave from the Irish Hotspur, who I love, shout out to you, Dave. Needs to get back working together very soon. He made an argument the other night that whilst a lot of fans criticise Ange for stumbling into Jed Spence, that ultimately when the rubber meets the road, Jonny, is that Ange Postecoglou, by hook or by crook, has been the one manager to get something out of Jed Spence. Conte didn't. Obviously, Ryan Mason and Stellini didn't. Neither did the manager over in Italy.
They weren't there. They weren't there. First of all, let me just.
They weren't there. Sorry, you're right about Mason.
Let me just put the record straight there. Conte didn't even look at Jed Spence. Okay, so Spurs signed him as a club signing and told him he would be part of the first team. And then when Conte found out, he said he ain't part of the first team, and he was told he's going out on loan. So you can imagine your dream
horrendous
nightmare. Your dream
at 19 years old, right?
Yeah. So my point is here, you have to add some context to the Jed Spence story. Then he goes, he gets carted off on loan. He's not happy. He's down. Come on, 19 years of age, 20 years of age. You can't. Yeah. Listen, let's focus on the now, and let's be serious.
And the now is that we've got a fullback in him that is incredibly balanced, that can.
He wasn't going to play him. He wasn't going to play him. He wasn't going to play him without these injuries. It's as simple as that. Yeah,
he left him out of the European squad. Obviously, I I very much doubt he'll be left out for this the second round of the squad selections. I think we had that conversation of the 4 players we signed, the 3 that you'd put in. You probably have to, by a process of elimination, leave out Kinski, right, and go with Brandon Austin and hopefully Vicario or Fraser, the tree. But as far as tonight goes, let's go back through your team sheet. So you reckon the back 4 is going to be?
Can I just add here?
Yeah, of course.
Very importantly, if it wasn't for Jed Spence's 87th minute goal against Coventry, we wouldn't be having this conversation tonight. He came on as a second half substitute for Destiny, who got injured. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been playing. He didn't even start at right back. Archie Gray started at right back for that game. So, we've a lot to thank him for. And he did a fantastic job on Salah in the first game. It's the quietest I've seen Salah in a game. Yeah. Whether he can do it again tonight remains to be seen. But I'd love to see him and Tell down the same side together. But so you want to ask me in my team? So.
Well, before you get to that, just quickly, let's just pivot to Matisse Tell for a second. Actually, let me stick to the Jed Spence thing. Do you subscribe to the notion that Jed Spence will be affected in his ability to cover Mo Salah by the fact that in all likelihood you're probably going to see Ben Davies next to him versus Archie Gray, who's got a little bit more pace, obviously a little bit more naivety, a little bit more ignorance in regards had the positional sense of playing a centre back. And Ben Davies, dependable Ben, I've always stood by Ben Davies. I think he's a great workhorse and a solid player. But do you think that Jed Spence will have a little bit more to worry about with the pace through the middle? That he has to kind of keep an eye on Mo Salah, obviously, and at the same time, without that, with Ben Davies' lack of pace and he can be found wanting positionally. Ben Davies, like he can be cut through like a knife through hot butter. Do you think that Jed Spence is going to have a harder job if he has to play alongside Ben Davies tonight, or do you think that's not really a factor?
I think he reads the game very well, Ben Davies. What he lacks in pace, he makes up with reading the game. And also, I've got to say, his leadership during the game against Brentford was superb. 37 crosses. That's the one thing I've got to say. You cannot allow. I love the formation we set up against Brentford. We sat deeper. We didn't invert. The only thing that I was critical of was the fact that we allowed them. We didn't press them. If we allow Liverpool 37 crosses, we're going to come away from there defeated. So I'd like to set up in the same position, but be pressing from that deeper position. Pressing from there rather than pressing high up the pitch, because they have to come to us. And I reckon with Tell, Spence, Son, Kulu and the likes, that we can score against on the counter-attack. Listen, I know when we were 5-1 down, we scored the goals, but we have actually scored 4 goals against Liverpool in the last 2 games.
Exactly.
So, mentally, we know we can score against them. It's not like a block.
And listen, whilst it's been 14 years since we last beat Liverpool at Anfield, I don't remember too many games that wasn't close. I know that I think it was last season was it 3-2? It was 2-0 or 3-0 and we brought it back to 3-3 and then we ended up losing in the last minute.
Well, 5-1. 5-1 was like, it was 5-1 and they switched off. I mean,
that was at home, right?
Yeah.
At the away leg last season, if I'm not mistaken, was it not? Did we not go 3-0 down inside 25 minich? And then we ended up pulling it back to 3-3, and then there was a mistake. Or was that the season before? I forget.
No, that was the season before when Richarlison scored that goal, ran into the crowd. Everyone thought, what a finish. And then 2 seconds later, Moura gave the ball away. Yeah.
Were you there that night?
No, I was there last. Unfortunately, I wasn't. I was there last season, though.
And what happened last season? Remind me.
I'm trying to remember what the score was. I was there last season. Listen, I love Anfield. For me, I think it's my favourite ground. To be honest with you, the nights under the lights at Anfield when they sing "Walk On," it just make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It's historical. I do think it's a little bit of a myth, though, that the atmosphere at Liverpool is sensational throughout. I feel like they get together to sing their song,
and then they sit down, then it becomes quite quiet until Liverpool score a goal. And if it's 0-0 at half time, the stadium can sound quite eerily quiet on the TV at least.
Cup semi-final. I think.
It's going to be but you want to silence the crowd, right? You want Tottenham to be dogged, and you hope that if we can get to half time 0-0 or 1-1 or whatever, or God, please, Lord, help us out here. If we can get an early goal, then it will be a sensational way for the first sort of 45 minutes to play out, and then who knows what happens in the second half. The great thing for me though, Johnny, is that over the last 2 months, I know our league form has been horrendous, but in terms of the notion that the Ange ball is Ange ball and it's never going to change and it's the hill it will die on and all this stuff, I think that's been fundamentally disproven. I think that he does now clearly have the ability and the will to set his team up to have last few games, right? So I think it started with the Newcastle, maybe it was the Liverpool game or Newcastle before that or after that, I forget.
Newcastle,
we lost the game.
I think it was Newcastle.
Well, we lost the game, but it was a really good effort. And I feel like, we're not going to be a pushover tonight. I really don't think that we're going to be sitting there with a high line when you've got a 1-goal lead. If we can, recreate what Newcastle did last night or something to that version, then I think that Tottenham fans should go in obviously nervous, but optimistic that we can get something out of the game. We don't have to win. We just have to draw.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We don't need to win. I mean, that's a huge thing. We're not going there without that, We did have a chance to make it 2-0. Who was it? Was it Kulu? Just trying to think. We had a chance to make it 2-0. But listen, look, beggars can't be choosers. Before that game, every Spurs fan... it might have been Sonny, yeah. Every Spurs fan would have taken 1-0 before that game. The form that they were in, the form that we were in. And listen, if ever a team deserved to win this trophy, it's us. We've beaten Coventry, we've beaten Man United, and we've beaten Manchester City, and we've beaten Liverpool in the first leg. I don't think... Yeah, it was Porro. Okay, fine. Thank you. I knew it was someone who missed one.
Yeah, he tried to lob the keeper, didn't he?
Yeah. But I think... when you think about that, to see this Spurs team has struggled all this season to beat Man City, Liverpool, Man United, I don't think anyone, I'd like to look back at the record books and see a team that has had to overcome all of these teams, should we make it to the fight, just to get to the final. And so should we get to the final and then manage to beat Newcastle, because Ange always wins in his second season, that would be some.
Listen, if he does win the trophy, can you imagine his post-game press conference? When he's in a good mood, he's funny, he's sprightly, he's bubbly, he's got all of the kind of the wind in his sails. There's a version of Ange that is just unbelievably engaging and just delicious to listen to. And if he does win that final, if we get there and if he beats Newcastle, I can't wait for that post-match when he says, not only are you not entertained, but did I not tell you people that Ange Postecoglou always wins something in his second bloody year? What are we doing, mate? What are we doing?
It's a fact. It's a fact. No, he confirmed it. He did. He said, I always. Anyway, listen, look, please God, he does. I think, this year, should it be Ange and Eddie Howe, no two teams would be better, to have won. If we were going to lose any game, I'd like to be losing to Newcastle, haven't won in 70 years, or if Newcastle lost to us, a team that hasn't won a trophy in years and years and years. And so, rather than the old school, the Man Cities and, the other teams that normally win these 2-3 trophies every single season. So I look forward to it. Now, I mean, I'm not sure how you think we're going to set up tonight. What are you thinking?
I genuinely think that we'll sit in and probably try to ride the wave of early onslaught that Liverpool will throw at us. They'll be desperate to get an early goal, right? Because you get an early goal, you get a goal in the first 15-20 minutes, and the entire first leg is written off. Yeah. Obviously, then the wind is in the sails, so the Liverpool fans come alive, and it'll be a very, very difficult night. But if you can withstand that pressure, sit in tight, and batten down the hatches for 15 minutes, and like you said, try and pop off at the break on the transition, then I think that's the best way to set us up. I really don't expect to see us with a high line, given it's Danso's debut, given the fact that Ben Davies doesn't have the pace of like a Mickey van der Ven, given the fact that we've got bundles of pace at the top end of the pitch, and we're obviously going to come to the team in a second, but just from the defensive setup, just because of needs must and because of the available players, I think it almost plays into our hands, dare I say it, that if Mickey van der Ven was fit, there might be a temptation for Ange to sort of go, let's revert back to plan A, which I think would be suicide. So with him out, I'm not saying that I'd rather have, Ben Davies than a fit Mickey van der Ven, but just because of the fact that we only have certain options available, I think you'd be hanging Danso out to dry in a high line in his debut against Liverpool at Anfield. Ben Davies can't handle that sort of that space behind him, and you're still playing players out of position. As good as Jed Spencer's been, and I would arguably play him ahead of even a fit Destiny Doggy on the left, even though it's not his position, but just his recent form and the fact that he pocketed Salah a month ago. To me, I think that you need to set your team up in accordance with what options you have, right? Play what's in front of you, but also play the card you're dealt. And so for me, to sit back, not sit back, but just don't be afraid to park the bus a little bit for the first 25, half an hour. And then, as I said, there will be transitions. We will be able to win the ball back. And if we can get the ball straight onto the feet of like a Bentancur, if he's going to play in the midfield, or a Bissouma, someone who has the capability, but maybe not necessarily the output, I would then look to, if Bergval's playing, and I hope he is, I'd hand the ball to him and let him play some of that peripheral vision stuff. And hopefully Matisse Tell, whether he's playing in the 9, whether he's playing off the left on the 7, either way, there'll be space behind Liverpool. And I think that we've got a terrifyingly fast attack that can really hurt on the break. It's just about whether we finish our dinner. What's your thoughts, mate?
Listen, I'm a bit conflicted here, because if it wasn't for the fact that Mohamed Salah was playing, I would 100% be playing Tell on the right with Jed Spence behind him, because I think those two together are going to be dynamite. I really do. I think the overlapping runs were fantastic. That will be fantastic. Danso's really been thrown into the mix here. I mean, like, his debut is going to be against.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Matisse Tell, but everyone's forgetting about Danso. Yeah. Poor old Kevin.
Yeah. So he's going in his debut at Anfield in a semi-final of a cup in a fierce atmosphere. Then his next game is away to Aston Villa in the cup. And then his first game is going to be Man United at home. If you want a baptism of fire.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is a tough 3 games.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to lose as a centre-back, with the greatest respect to Matthias Tell. Matthias Tell only has to show us signs of dribbling, taking players on, being exciting. He can lose the ball without massive consequence. But,
exactly.
If Danso makes a mistake, it's going to be magnified. So,
and you watch that fallout. If he doesn't, God forbid, heaven forfend he does. But if he does make a clanger, there'll be sections of our fan base that will be in uproar, and like, he's an absolute waste of space. He's the next Davinson Sanchez. Yeah, all that stuff. And I really hope that doesn't happen.
Worst signing since this, and this.
Yeah. Not ideal. Not ideal.
The interesting one that I've seen a few people discuss is that people think that Vicario's been training for the last 2 weeks, that he should come straight into the team. I don't subscribe to that. I think that Kinski's been thrown in at the deep end. He's played the Liverpool game where he was absolutely outstanding. Then he was down at Tamworth. He's had all sorts of games. I didn't think he had a bad game at all against Brentford. He has a lot to deal with. As I said, 37 crosses. You're not going to be much busier than that.
He's far better from the aerial threat than Vicario.
That's the thing. And I think with Vicario, it's this rush back because he's seen that this kid could be taking his place on a permanent basis. And he's a bit, he's a bit worried about it. So for me, I would 100% start Kinski. I think he deserves it. I think he's earned it. I know Cefaus is but shot stopping is more than just shot stopping, goalkeeping. And Kinski's a good shot stopper as well, as we saw, or as we've seen. So I don't know. It's an interesting one.
I personally, if I'm entirely honest, I have more confidence with Kinski than I do with Vicario at the moment. Not
Well, in the air,
I like
yes.
I like Vicario, but I think that Kinski, 21 years old, been thrown into the deep end, handled himself like an absolute champion. His debut was sensational. Everyone around me, big tone with that flying, that kind of open cut golf drive where he flicks it out on the left hand side and smashes it up to Sonny, and it curls deliciously into his path. All of that stuff just sort of put the wind in my Kinski sails, and I don't think he's let us down. I think that obviously there's been a couple of mistakes. I think he wasn't sensational in was it Europe? He made a mistake. I forget where he was a little bit loose in one of the games, maybe his third or fourth game.
Ball bounced in front.
The Arsenal game.
I think it was Everton. Was it? No, it was Everton. Wasn't it Everton that he made the ball?
I think he wasn't great at Everton, but I think also the Arsenal game he made a couple of clangers. Right, he was nervous with the ball at his feet and stuff. But look, to me, I think that, like you correctly say, mate, the further you go back in the team, on the positions, the consequences of a mistake are amplified. You know, if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, you're losing a goal. Right. If a striker makes a mistake, you just don't score. And so, you know, you have to kind of take that on board when you're sort of delving out your criticisms and your critiques. I think that everyone is allowed to make mistakes, and I personally think that Kinski's been a breath of fresh air. I really think he suits our football better. And again, tonight, if you're going to be on the receiving end of a hell of a wave after wave of pressure, then Liverpool will be parked on the halfway line with regards to their back line. And if the ball does, have a bit of a ricochet around players and then it falls to Kinski, picks it up, and then who would you rather welly that ball forward into the path of Matisse Tell, who started his sprint 5 yards deeper? Would you rather Vicario doing it, or would you rather Kinski doing it? I think the answer to me is obvious, that you'd rather have Kinski, right?
What I'd like to see is Kinski, who's fantastic ball delivery. He's fantastic with his feet, his passing a ball out to Matisse Tell, who sprints down and bangs one into the top corner. I mean, that's what I'd love to. His first
shot isn't placed; it's just rocketed from 25 yards.
Look, the thing I'm excited to see, although he hasn't done a lot this season, it's all been about confidence in game times. For me, is his ability to take players on, his dribbling ability, and
Kinski.
No, Matisse Tell. I don't know what he does in his spare time. Harry Kane was more of a dribbler, but no, I think his ability to dribble, take players on one. We haven't seen that. That's not Brennan Johnson's game, and when you do that, you're drawing players in, and hopefully our midfield will be smart enough to utilise that space. I'd be interesting to me, the one part of our game which Ange can't decide on is our midfield. He can't decide whether it's Basuma, Bentancur, and Sarr, or it's Basuma, Bergvall, and Bentancur, or Sarr. He can't decide. It's chopped and changed.
I like that. It really is. Look, I don't think any of them are top draw, Johnny. I don't think they're all at the very peak of their game. But you saw Pape Sarr come back in from injury against Brentford and was sensational in that second half. Absolutely delicious, right? And the finish, by the way, it was almost like a no-look finish where he missed, he sort of did that little shimmy and then poked it home. Fantastic, right? Fantastic. And I struggle to see what role Pape Sarr plays in this model, because you need, with the absence of an obvious six, then you have kind of two holding eights. But Pape Sarr is more of a kind of old school driver of the ball on the break. He likes to run with the ball at pace with his long legs.
He's
he's a proper box to box. But I'm not sure that this system. It kind of reminds me of a poor man's Gerrard, like back in the day, the way Gerrard used to be able to just drive the ball forward, more so than a Frank Lampard. Obviously on a lower level just for now. And I think Pape Sarr has got all of the material to go on to be a top midfielder. But I just don't know what role he fits, because I don't think he's defensively as solid as obviously Bissouma, and I don't think that he has the peripheral vision and the passing. One of the criticisms I have of Pape Sarr is sometimes his mind is working not at the same speed as his body, and he can drive the ball forward, and then that final pass can be a letdown, and that is often where the transition takes place, where we then get picked off on the counter. So against Liverpool, you can't really afford that. You can't afford to give the ball away. You need your midfielders to have, on the night, 85, 88, 90% pass completion, because if you give the ball away in transition when everyone's bulking forward, then you get picked off. And Jed Spence, as good as he's been, is going to struggle to be able to get back to Mo Salah if Mo Salah has the space behind. So I think that Pape Sarr isn't the right choice tonight. I'd rather go with somewhere else. What's your thoughts?
I don't know. Listen, look, I'm a big fan of Pape Sarr. He just reminds me, the way he runs and his languid, long legs reminds me a bit of a young Patrick Vieira a bit. That's who he reminds me of. But listen, I think it's a hard one, the midfield. I think absolutely nailed on is Bentancur. I mean, you can't start this game without Bentancur for me. His work rate and how he works through the transitions is top draw. So for me, it's, do we trust Bissouma not to lose his head? Because again, he can't help himself against Brentford. Brentford, I mean, he's grabbing the guy around his throat in the box. What are you doing? What are you doing? Use your head. I was with you when we were at Luton. Remember when he got sent off that stupid dive when he was already on a yellow? Pathetic. So I'm not sure I trust him 100%. I think I would.
When Bissouma's on, when he's on it, he's brilliant, right? And he offers that defensive kind of that defensive connection that I don't think you have with Bentancur. As I say, I think all the midfielders that we have, they're not too dissimilar in terms of their quality levels, in my opinion, but they are all very different in terms of where their weaknesses and strengths lay. And for me, I agree with you that it's a big risk with Bissouma. It's a big risk with Sarr. I don't know if you agree with that about Sarr. I think the obvious number, the first guy that I want on that team sheet in the midfield is Lucas Bergwijn.
What, you would put him on the sheet first before Bentancur?
I would, yeah.
Well, listen, I'm a great big fan of Bergwijn. And I always talk about his peripheral vision and how he scans the area. He already knows where the ball's going before it's received. And he's already making the run to receive that ball that he hasn't passed yet in his head.
He doesn't give the ball away either.
Yeah, he's pictured it all. When his upper body strength has been great. Again, a little bit rash in the challenge. Lucky against Liverpool not to have been sent off.
Can be rash. Rash, you're right.
So, for me, it's Bentancur, Bergwijn, Bissouma, Sarr as a sub, right?
Yep.
Come on when they start to get tired.
Stretch the game a little bit in the second half.
Yeah. So I'm flexible in that, but for me, Bentancur must start 100%.
Have you been that impressed with Bentancur this season?
Well, listen, look, he was just
I know he's obviously got his...
No, he was just starting to show, for me, he was 100% just starting to show those signs that you want to see in a player that's coming back to his best. He's a special player. I'm sorry. I really think he's a top player. Yes, you're right. The injuries, the suspensions, it's been stop-start, and it's certainly not ideal. And he's had the long injury. So I understand people questioning him. But for me, form is temporary, class is permanent, and I think he's a class player tonight. So, yeah,
so we're not too far off it. We both think that Bentancur and Bergwijn should be in there, and then the third spot you're going to give it to Bissouma. I'm probably okay with that, but then we move forward. Surf Oz here is asking the question of where do you think? Well, obviously Kulu plays, but where do you play him? Because if you play him off the right and let him drift in, then you're arguably sacrificing. If Liverpool do have vulnerabilities, I still maintain that it's down their left back spot. I think you can go at Tsimikas or you can go at Robertson, whichever one they're going to play. And Gomez through the middle, I think is arguably, a little bit more easier of an option than, or if he's on the right, I'm not sure where Gomez will play.
Conor Bradley's playing instead of Trent tonight, so that's going to be a change.
So listen, it's probably going to be Gomez and, or is it going to be Gomez or will it be the other fella alongside Van Dijk? Van Dijk? Virgil van Dijk. I'm not sure who'll be at the back, but
Van Dijk. No, I think. Look, for me, I think. Look, the realist is that Angie's going to go with Kulu, Bentancur, and probably Sarr or Bissouma. Bissouma, Kulu, and Bentancur. I think that's the reality of it. With Tell on the right, Son on the left, Richarlison through the middle. You know, we can have it in our own minds what we think might be best.
You think Tell off the right-hand side, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Tell off the right, Sonny off the left, Richarlison through the middle, and a midfield, it will be of Bentancur, Kulu, and Basuma. And as I said, at the back, it will be Gray at left back, Danso, Davis, and Spence at left back.
Right. Yeah. I'm thinking back to when I was watching Sky Sports News when we signed Matisse Tell, and they got that Florian Plettenberg, who's the Sky Germany correspondent who obviously focuses on Bayern Munich. And he said that Matisse Tell, as much as he can play anywhere at the top end, that he's a striker. He should be played in the 9 role.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder whether or not you'd give him. I do think he'll start. Is there an argument to say the midfield 3 that we initially thought of Basuma, Bentancur, and Bergvall, just to have that sort of solidarity in that defensive setup, and then Kulu on the right, Sonny on the left, and Matisse Tell and Richarlison gets put to the bench?
Well, no. So what I'm proposing is Richie starts the game, okay, and then he's taken off because he's got no more than 55, 60 minutes tops, right? Because he's still trying to find his way back to fitness. And then what you would do is you would shift Tell through the middle to the 9, push Kulu out wide to the right-hand side, and then bring on Bergvall into the middle, basically.
Yeah. Kwanzaa, that's what I'm thinking.
We got flexibility. Kwanzaa.
Yeah, I'm not sure who'll play next to Van Dijk tonight. It's either Gomez or it'll be Kwanzaa, won't it? And I mean, anyone that wants to take on, like Matisse Tell, you talk about baptism of fire in terms of games, but if he is played through the 9, then you're up against one of the best, if not the best, centre back in the world when it comes to defending one-on-one dribblers in Virgil van Dijk. He's super fast, super strong, knows how to turn a player onto his weak side. I'm not sure what side Matisse Tell is weak on. And I think it'll be a very, very interesting matchup. But I also probably agree that I think Richarlison, you know how I feel about Richie. I'm not. I know he's your boy, but he's not mine. And
no, listen, look, he's not fit, and you know he's. All I'm saying to you is, you can see, you know, he's blowing hard after 35 minutes against Brentford, yet he was still on after like 60 odd. So, you know, he either comes on as a sub, but you know, for me, Spence has to play. And I said before, you know, ideally, I'd like to see Tell and Spence on the same side. Those two overlapping runs, because Tell does actually track back and defend. Yeah. He's got a good work ethic and he's got a point to prove. And I think those two would be absolutely giving Liverpool kittens down that 100%. Flank. But unfortunately, you know, you're not going to play Tell down the left because Sonny's going to be playing there.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, mate, because it was interesting things I heard last night in Ange's pre-match presser. He said, first of all, that Matisse Tell exudes all of the confidence, the self-belief. I'd say he was probably verging on the word arrogance. That he's got absolutely no qualms or concerns about his readiness to kind of step in and take the bull by the horns. But he also spent time talking about Sonny. Now, I think if you're a Tottenham fan, it doesn't matter. I don't care, you know, what your loyalties are or where they lay. I think you'd be disingenuous if you said anything other than Sonny's really struggled recently. And I think that what Ange said would be, I think, aligned to a notion that he's trying to reassure Sonny through the media that his place isn't under threat necessarily. And that Sonny probably is rightly looking at the Matisse Tell timing and saying, well, is he taking up my spot? Or Richarlison, right? He's also sitting there saying, well, you know, because Richarlison's a bit sensitive, I guess, to even when he's getting subbed, he doesn't look like he's happy. And so when I hear Ange saying, oh, you know, I think that Sonny's showing his leadership. He's determined, and he's we're going to see a brilliant version of Sonny going forward. He's already been spectacular. He was spectacular against Brentford, yada yada yada. And I think that obviously he didn't go into the reasons why Sonny was struggling, but to me, I feel like listening to that press conference, it's clear that he's having to reassure Sonny that his place is not under threat necessarily because of Matisse Tell coming back, and that Odebear is also back in training. So,
well, they're friends. They're friends. Odebear and Tell are friends.
Are they? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, from their France under 21, I believe. I think it's the under 21.
Under 19. I think he's only played under 19. Yeah.
So, they're mates. They know each other, which is going to be great. Look, I will never, ever complain about having too many players that of quality. Our complaint has always been we don't have enough, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I don't look at backups. That word backup should be banned. It should be competition. We need competition in all places. Morning, James. We need competition in all places, in all positions. And, if Sonny's nose has been put out of joint, so be it. What I did notice against Brentford was Ben Davies acting like a captain, a proper captain, i.e. going in there and, telling people where to stand, being vocal, telling them keep their eyes open. I don't see that from Sonny. I see hugs and tears and, that sort of stuff more so than what I consider a traditional captain.
You think it was wrong to give him the captain's armband, mate?
Listen, I think at the time maybe, but I never understood it. Look, he's a popular guy, he's a lovable guy, but I want an animal.
I'm not advocating for like the return to the halcyon days of a Roy Keane style captain where it's all professional, there's no friends here.
The captain. For me, Højbjerg is the type of captain. He's a leader on the pitch. He's a warrior. You lead by example. Whatever you thought about Højbjerg, you could have half his leg hanging off and he'd still be out there on the pitch fighting every tooth and nail for every ball. Listen, while you're here, guys, Sean and I have started a new channel, Football Inc.
Yeah.
So if you get
in the description,
it's in the links there. So if you could get on down and like and subscribe down there, we much appreciated it.
Even if you're watching this on Spurs Talk Show, don't be afraid to pivot across. The same stream is happening on Football Link, but we're trying to get up our watch hours so that we can shamelessly turn on the monetization.
It's that, but also look, the thing is, it won't be just if you love football, other than Spurs. Obviously, we all love Spurs, but there's lots of football things to discuss, and that's what Sean and I intend on doing. We did a pre. Newcastle Arsenal game last night, and then we did a post, and we weren't celebrating at all last night.
No, not at all. You know what? That's on reflection, Johnny. It's probably not the best way to endear ourselves to a certain community.
I listen, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Come on, Newcastle! Yes.
Yeah, I think singing away the lads was maybe a bit of touch.
Yeah.
But no, but listen. So if you get a second, nip on over there.
Smash a like, smash a subscribe over there. Yeah. If you are watching this on Twitter as well, then you should go into my profile and also to Johnny H3232 and do what the camera does, which is follow me and follow us. Yeah, by the way, let me know in the comment section whether or not this follow feature that I've got on this camera that I've only just discovered, whether it's annoying or whether you don't mind it, because I don't know. I feel like it's quite annoying, if I'm entirely honest. So let me know.
To be honest, ever since he's found it, he hasn't stopped moving around his bloody chair. Normally, he doesn't move at all.
It shows off my ADHD.
All I'm seeing is him doing this, right? Rocking backwards and forwards, and it's moving.
Yeah, I look like a madman.
Wrap soon because I'm off literally very soon. For the game. Got a small match.
So just to finish off then, I won't hold you up, mate. I know you've got a big journey ahead of you. So we're going with Kinski in goal, are we? And then the back four is left back Jed Spence, right back Archie Gray, Danzo and Ben Davies. And then the midfield three, we're saying Benson, Corbett.
I'm going to go for what I believe it will be, rather than what I think it will be. Kulu, Benson, Corbett,
Bergwell on the bench.
And then I think we'll go Tell on the right, Sonny on the left, Richarlison through the middle, and then Richarlison will come off in the second half, and then we'll have Bergvall come on. And then I expect to see Tell push through the middle, Kulu out to the right, and Bergvall taking Kulu's place in the middle.
That makes sense. No space for Johnson.
Who?
Brenda.
No.
Can't say
Brenda has been superseded. You'll
Yeah.
watch when you see him beat his man, right? And see how it's done. Yeah. With pace.
100%. And I mean, do we have the Liverpool team news? Or are we thinking it's probably going to be Gomez, Van Dijk?
Full team barring Trent. But listen, Connor Bradley is a superb player. And, in the middle of the park, they're grabbing back Sobotsai, McAllister. There's a lot to handle there. And I think it will get quite nasty, which is why I think we're going to need the power of Bentancur, the nastiness of Bentancur, because he can get nasty. We need that edge.
Yeah,
McAllister's got that edge. And so the others there with Basuma and Kulu. I think we need that strength. I'm not saying, listen, I'm a massive fan of Bergvall, but I think, bring him on once it's calmed down a bit, hopefully, in that second half, and he can settle into the game. That said, it could be anything. Who knows?
And just quickly, mate, by the way, guys, there's about 550 odd people that are watching across the various platforms that we're on today. So yeah, smash that like button, smash the subscribe. Just El Dante member for 9 months. Thank you for the loyalty, man. I really appreciate you. Come on, you Spurs. Let's get it done tonight. Cheers all. Cheers to you, El Dante. Appreciate you, buddy. And how do you see the game? If you're Ange, how do you? You asked me the question. I think I forgot to ask you the same one back. How do you see the game? Sort of the game state, the game shape from Ange. Do you expect us to kind of to go for it, or do you expect us to sort of sit in and ride out the storm and just pick them off? We now have at least a discussion, right? It's a nice thing to know that we don't just play one version in all scenarios. So, last question for you before we round up. I know you got to go. Is do you see Ange setting us up with a little bit more pragmatism, or do you see us fighting fire with fire and trying to get off? If we get the first goal, it's going to be an incredibly enticing second half of football, but lots to concern ourselves with in that regard.
I think Brentford was a great, practice run for Liverpool. I want to see exactly the same formation, exactly the same. The only thing I need to add is you can't sit there in that formation deeper, not invert and not press. You have to press. If we press from a lower block and press from that position, I think we're going to give Liverpool trouble. If you stand off them and allow them and you play that position, you don't invert, you sit back and you allow them to cross the ball, we're going to be dead meat. So for me, low block, press, and we get them on the counter. I think we're capable of scoring on the counter. Like I said, we've scored 4 goals in 2 games against Liverpool. I'm going to go positive, and I'm going to say we're going to get a draw tonight. Listen, I've been there. Look, we haven't won there since 2011, right? We haven't won there since 2011, as I said, Van der Vaart, right? So I look, a draw is a great result. And if we pull this off tonight, it will be the greatest, it will be the best result of the season. One of our best performances in a long, long time. Okay, that's it in a nutshell.
Listen, guys, there you go. For those of you that come in with the comments that Johnny's so negative, he's just been really positive. We're gonna scrape a draw. Come on, guys. It's
positive. Well, I mean, listen.
No, I'm joking. I ain't winding you up, man.
What do you want me to say?
I'll take a draw all day long. Where the last thing I would say is, last question for you, mate. Sorry, I said last question was last question, but the last question now is just to give us give an insight as to how you see Arne Slot setting them up. Do they just go for it, like give a shit about the game state and just say, it's Tottenham. We always do well. We're at home. Play your football. Pressure. Is there any kind of delicacy going to be to Arne Slot's tactics, or is it just going to be play your football and you should be okay?
Play your football and you'll be okay. Measured press. They don't panic. They know what they want to do. Last night, Arsenal were hectic. They weren't controlled. Everything was rush. They're much more composed, Liverpool, on the ball with their players. They believe in themselves, and so does Slot. And we've seen it in evening games where it's not going for them. they keep on and on and on with this belief that they will eventually crack, like they did against Bournemouth. They eventually broke them down and got the goals. A draw's all we need, and I'm going to go for the fact that we're going to go through and we're going to go to Wembley. I wouldn't be going all the way up to Liverpool today, right? If I didn't believe it. I cancelled my holiday. I moved my holiday just for this game, right? And it went down like a pork sausage at a bar mitzvah. So I think
old Holly Pops Johnny over there. Jesus Christ, mate. You don't mind a little trip away, do you? A little 3-day break here, a little 2-day break there. You love it, don't you?
Listen, off to Dubai, mate. Off to Dubai. Listen, Spurs fans, come on, let's will them on. And if anyone's going up there, come say hello. There's about 6,000 of us there. There's probably 9,000, about 3,000 without tickets. No doubt.
Yeah, no doubt at all. No doubt at all. It'll be a great game. Johnny, enjoy your trip, enjoy your holiday, enjoy the day, the night tonight. Obviously, I won't be able to get you on before.
I might try from the coach. I'll see if I can do it from the coach.
Live stream from the coach. All right, guys, that's it. Little quick one for you. 50 minutes. When was the last time that we ever did a 50-minute show? Love it. Thank you all for your attention. And smash the like and the subscribe on Spurs Talk Show and on Football Link. Link is in the description. Get over there and smash some support for that channel, the fledgling one that it is. And also, if you're over on Twitter, then get onto football. Get onto to Johnny H3232. Johnny, I'll let you go, mate. And we will see you later on. I'll be back for a post-match show. I might even do a live stream. I feel like I've missed out on so much action with you lot. I might just overkill it, and you'll be bored of me. Oh, Sean, let the shenanigans recommence. We've had enough of you. Disappear for a little while, will you? Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. Come on, you Spurs. 90 minutes from the final. Let's go. As always. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.